Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gibble with the Daily Market Insight for Tuesday, the 29th of March. Had to think about that for a second. Now, let's just have a look what's going on here. Now I'm looking through the market, trying to work out, where the flow of cash is going, all that sort of stuff. You see crypto's up one day, down the next, and that's sort of a bit part and parcel with the geopolitical situation that's going on. There's a lot of talk about fund managers or banks or wealthy individuals, for that matter, in the Ukraine and Russia, just parking cash in the cryptos. Makes a bit of sense when there's a lot of uncertainty there. But I was just having a look through and having a look where the major action is can sometimes be hard, especially looking at a page like this where you've got a lot of data. Now, what should you be looking for? Now, I'm seeing some really big, there's a couple of big factors here that just need sort of highlighting, and it's where things are slightly distorted somewhat, right? So if I look at the Aussie Kiwi, Aussie Sterling, Euro Sterling, Aussie Kiwi, let me get that right. You look at these pairs, right? These pairs generally, correlate. And Aussie Kiwi more so, just geographically. Same with Euro and Sterling. They sort of correlate much higher as well. They are correlating, but not so much overall, right, as a foursome. And we know, the Euro and Sterling have been hammered with the Ukraine-Russian situation. That's probably the main catalyst here. But this is a major imbalance, and it will be corrected, right? I think and this is where you're like, well, what's going to correct? Is the Euro and Sterling going to rally, or is the Aussie going to fall? To me, you can go a little bit further with this, because you start to look a little bit deeper and you're finding other things like the Aussie, Kiwi, and CAD, probably Aussie more so. They're known as the commodity currencies. Now, if you look at the commodity index, right, this thing's up 21% for the year. Now, it was up about a week or so ago, up 32%, right? It is through the roof. Now, during the global financial crisis, 2007 to 2009, the Aussie held up quite well, and it was through the commodities, right? China were just hammering, buying everything they could get their hands on. So it's important to understand what's going on. Now, this has come off about 10%, and I'm just having a look there, like the basket, right? This is like the dollar index, right? It's a basket of 19 commodities, 39% allocated to energy contracts, 41% to agriculture, 7% to precious metals, and 13% to industrious metals. Now, we know that if we're looking at the safe havens, gold and these things are up, but they've just been getting hit. Gold and silver have been getting sort of belted a little bit. The obviously oil is starting to get touched up. Now, let me just sort of set the picture here. Now, let me bring you back to what's happening in the global markets, and I'll sort of piece this together, because I think there's a couple of imbalances here that I'm reluctant to sort of push everyone into specific trades, but open your eyes, see what's happening, see where the opportunities are coming up, because sometimes when you're looking at the market as it is right now, you could be sort of sitting there going, I just don't get it, right? That's because there's a lot of weird things happening. But what you will understand is the structure of the market, how these imbalances are corrected. I've been doing this for 32, 33 years. They are all corrected, right, at some stage. It's just a matter of the timing. And that's what we should be focusing on, the timing of these corrections, as opposed to trying to pick them off every day. Now, let me just come over here to the global. This is like a global page, as I've got it called, right? The global markets. Now, the dollar index, give you an idea, it's above the resistance line. It's still not busting out of its seams, right? It's moving topside, but once it has its move, it's stalled. We had that move yesterday, Monday, always a bit fickle Mondays. Clean out of stops, went down 30 points from 80 down to 50, and then back to where it is, right? That is, to me, a Monday stop loss run, right? Not a great support line. If anything, you could basically move that support line across. So Euro, it's sort of drifting low, but doesn't really know what's going on. The interesting thing for me is the volatility index is now back to really like nothing's going on, right? And this is not to too uncommon for a like a so-called war that we're seeing. It's more like Russia just putting their foot on the Ukraine's throat. It's not like they're, well, it doesn't look like they're actually just genociding the whole place, but the but the market becomes extremely desensitized to that. There's the shock of the first week. Next week, there's a bit of residual, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. The market doesn't give a toss, right? It's one of those sort of weird things that traders become. They're like assassins, right? You see a horrible story for long enough, it all of a sudden becomes normal. Now, what we are seeing, oil, right? A correction. I'll come into the commodities because commodities are a major part of that. As I was saying, the commodity index is up, or just above 21% for the year. It was up even further for that. For the month on date, it's up 10%. This thing has got room to come back, and we just have to see what's going on. Don't forget, there's this massive new coronavirus outbreak in China. Shanghai shut down. That's got to slow things down, not just oil, but also commodities. Something's got to give at some stage. Now, the equity markets. Now, I'm not going to say try and give you the answers here as to what's happening. It's just a correction to what was the bleeding that was going on before. I still think they get hammered as the Fed and all the other central banks start to raise interest rates, especially if they take the responsible route and start managing their QE as well. No point raising interest rates if you've got all this cash in the market. They've got to start pulling that out as well. That'll be a double whammy, right, on equity markets. And that's where I can see like things like cryptocurrencies going up, because you know what? If the interest rates are going up everywhere, equities have to get hammered. They'll be looking to throw them in bonds. If the yields are through the roof as well, then they're sort of like looking, well, where can we put our cash? Now, commodities is one area, right? That's for sure. You got these safe havens, but they're more like emergency situations. Cryptos has got to be a possibility, and we have seen the rise of the cryptos of late. Now, I had not really turned a blind eye to it, but really just sort of discounted the whole structure of it. But now it's got a lot more structure around it. And the best thing, technically, they trade the same way as the currencies, right? So it's a really good thing to start looking at and see what makes sense. Fundamentally, of course, it's a different story because it doesn't make sense. But that's where your sort of knowledge of trading and where the fundamental influences for cryptos are. Geopolitical events is definitely one of them. Then there's a whole range of sort of influences out there that sort of can control things like Elon Musk. Now, the commodity index, as I was saying, this is something that I've never really been through a lot with anyone. This is something in the 90s we watched like a hawk, right? Especially as I started trading in Australia at the same time as Citibank, Aussie, Kiwi, and those sorts of things. Obviously, minerals, all the stuff, metals were a big flavor down there. So, but watching this thing rally so crazily out of control, it almost resembles dollar yen, right? Which is another thing I'm going to come to. Like the yen crosses are so elevated, it's out of control. Like it's just like it's back to actually getting back to normal levels. When I was around for like 10 years, it was up around 149, 155. Now everyone's sort of thinking, well, 123 is a big stretch, but it has come a long way. But its real home is up towards 160. A lot of people haven't seen it, so they're sort of a bit surprised. But the commodity index, right? So this is something that you need to pay attention to. Now, if I come over here to the Forex pairs, right? Now, what I'm trying to look at is trying to find, what's up and what's down and all those sorts of things. I'm trying to work out where the levels are. Now, I have to really shrink up dollar yen to show you the extent of that move. And this is one of the things, like it's been a slow burner. Same with the Aussie. It's gone up from, 70 sort of 2-ish up to 75, without too much fanfare. Dollar yen's even done it even like a crazy little move. So dollar yen's through the roof now, and you're looking at they're up there. Dollar Swiss had a little run to the top side, probably coincides with that little run to the downside in euro. Dollar index not really going anywhere. So these things here, like the dollar and euro for that matter, to me, they need a fresh injection of data to get the ball rolling. At the moment, they're sort of rolling around with various geopolitical events. Sterling, it's sort of the same. It's suffered big time on the Russian situation. we'll have to wait and see how that settles down once that happens. But you can see Aussie through the roof, dollar CAD's gone down, and the Kiwi's gone up as well, right? As I was saying, the commodity currencies, CAD, Aussie, and Kiwi have been moving upwards, right? I know it's dollar CAD, so the CAD itself has been moving upwards. That in itself is, one of the commodity currencies. Of course, it's getting assisted by oil, which continues to rally, or it's starting to gyrate a bit, but that's part of the commodity index, right? So understand that. So, or if you didn't have those bits and pieces there, you could come back and just get up your main page here, right? And have a look here. Just get up the relative strength, right? Dollar yen, it's up 7.54%. The dollar index 3.25. What I'm looking for here is things that are extreme, right? So that's obviously extreme. It's outside the general realm of what's going on. If everything's around 3%, right, except dollar CAD, right, and as little buddy the Kiwi. So I'd be starting to look at these other pairs that haven't moved that much, that are outside the normal stretch of what's going on, to work out, are there opportunities in those pairs or not, right? So when I look at the, looking at the charts is one thing, but you just need to say, okay, well, where's the focus here, right? This thing is up 7.5%. Now, when I'm looking, where's my little pen again? Okay, so 7.5%. So this should get your interest, right? As in the yen. So if I come back across here to the my charts, the thing you want to do is, this is like going fishing. It's like, okay, I know they're biting on the yen, right? So let's just go and check out what's going on this puppy. And if you have a look here, I mean, the setups here, once again, we've taken out the US dollar. So you take out all the rumblings of the Fed, everything else is taken out, extract the US dollar out of the situation. And now you can see how the majors are performing, without that. Now, I've got all the yen crosses here. I've had to put the CAD yen onto a weekly chart to actually get this line to work, because it's just going boom, boom, massively up. You've got these little dots. Basically, it is so far up there, right? It is, it's going nuts. So when you come back and have a look at, you start to sort of piece together what's going on here with, we say CAD yen. Well, I'll tell you another one that's gone nuts, Aussie yen, right? The Aussie's gone up with the commodities, as you'd expect. CAD yen, Kiwi yen, not far off it as well, right? And once again, if I bring you back to just a graphic, this makes it easier to see. This is the, what have I got here? This is the daily, relative strength on the daily. Aussie yen, 10.7%. You've got CAD yen at 8.81 and the Kiwi yen at 8.44. Once again, the commodity currencies are kicking ass here, because they're also against the neutral yen, which has gone through the bloody roof. Okay, so as far as them parking dollars, they're probably parking it in dollar yen, right? So, but then I have a look here, and the good thing about the charts at the moment too, I've just done a bit of research here on the charts, because I had my old Metastock charts here for dollar yen. Looks like TradingView have actually worked it out, and they've got the Ichimoku clouds now correlating with the Metastock charts, right? So you get a bit more functionality with these charts. But just having a look, sorry, I'm on the wrong screen there. So okay, so let's just have a look here. So check out this. This is like obviously March. It's come a long way, right? And I know it's just sort of breaking down here on Aussie yen. Well, look at the massive moves here across the board. The yen crosses have got to be giving us something, right? Obviously, this thing is so far up here, CAD yen. It's obviously connected at the hip to oil. So if we get oil drop $40, then you're onto something here on CAD yen. But it's so far up there. As I said, it's all about timing, trying to time these moves. You can just keep getting long short CAD yen every day and get hammered, right? And then it finally falls and you've got no money left. So you can't just rush into these things. What I'm trying to do is prepare you, get your mind thinking. Don't just look at the vanilla majors or cryptos or equities and this sort of stuff. Start to think, what is happening? Where are the opportunities? What's out of balance? Because you can see here across the board, even Swiss yen for that matter, where these crosses are going to give us lots of opportunities, right? We're waiting for, say, the Russian-Ukraine situation to sort of evolve or dissolve. Okay, that should put some downward pressure on dollar yen. We should see some major corrections here. Now, I'd be sort of more inclined to, you know, and I know we've got some trend lines here, right? So the Aussie dollar's right there. Now, let me just sort of blow some of these charts up. Well, actually, I'll just widen them out a bit. Because just a big fan of, not just in the Asian session these days, across a lot more of them, is actually looking for you got the trend lines. This is what I was going to say. But where it goes through the chart, the trend line and the cloud is potentially you're working with the whole market. Don't forget, the Japanese are the biggest Forex traders in the world as a country. They dominate, right? And this is their go-to. So CAD yen, obviously miles away. What can we do with that? You can trade that as it is if you see some really big announcements on oil. Then you've got Euro yen, Sterling yen, Swiss yen. It's up in the boondocks as well. And that chart there is actually on the dailies to get it to sort of show some sort of recognition. So with the yen crosses, there is magic here, right? The other thing is looking at the majors that have gone up significantly, right? The Aussie dollar. Now I can see some value here on the Aussie big time. It is a big winner with the commodities going up. We've got iron ore, gold, we've got loads of crap, right? So with that going through the roof, it puts an underlying bid tone on the Aussie. But check these setups out, right? So I've got Aussie Kiwi. Now Aussie Kiwi, the Widowmaker, I'm not hugely into it, to be honest. It is up. It may come down, but I think you're looking at chicken feed there. The bigger ones are these. Aussie yen, Aussie Swiss to an extent, Aussie CAD, Sterling Aussie, and Euro Aussie. These are that you get a bigger bang for your buck because the Aussie and Kiwi sort of move together. You really get a big disparity with the moves, right? That's what I'm sort of talking about. I don't mean to rubbish the Kiwi. It's just that those two currencies are so closely tied at the hip. It's hard to get sort of bang for your buck. Now, I've just drawn some trend lines here, right? Let me just clear that. Now, the Euro Aussie, check this out. This thing has just been going down. The same time dollar yen's been going up, obviously. From the 15th, it's sort of broken higher, but it hasn't really gone anywhere. So what I've done is I've worked out where there's, you got, 1, 2, 3, sort of 4 touches here on this horizontal trend line. This is a potential entry level to see a correction up, right? I've sort of done the same here on sterling, but we've got a resistance line pretty close. That should correct as well. Once again, you've got the same time frame. It's moved 600-700 points in the last couple of weeks, right? This is unusual and it should be corrected. So, and the same thing here, Aussie CAD, it's sort of gone, sort of sitting there. There's a big gap between 93, 150 points maybe. Not that massive, but we will get some bang out of the buck here in Aussie Swiss. And then Aussie yen, also the same sort of profile, right? So these now, once again, this isn't a signal here to go out and start getting long Euro Aussie, long sterling Aussie, short Aussie yen, short Aussie Swiss, short Aussie CAD. I'm telling you, Aussie is here because the commodities are here, right? So you need to be watching the commodities to see what's going on with this. And how can you see it? Well, the CRB is a good port of call, right? Just get you back to the main data page. So the CRB down 1.49% today. Okay, so you can be keeping an eye on this. And so this is not the hard part, but this is part of, it's got metals in it. Okay, so oils are also part of this. So if oil and the metals are getting hit, it's generally going down. What you want to do is, I would have the Aussie chart up and actually put some of these instruments on top, right? So if I just come back to the Aussie, so let me just come over here to the Forex page because I can actually do a little bit better here. I've got everything sort of linked up, right? Oh, wow, that's gone a little bit cuckoo. So let's just, let me just click on the Aussie here. Should change these charts to Aussie. Okay, now let me just fix this up. No, we don't want line. tell you what I'll do. Let's have a look. Cancel that. I'll tell you what the easiest thing to do is just cancel that. It'll stop me messing around for 5 minutes. Okay, daily. Now I want to connect that to my other chart. Boom. All right. Okay, so we've got some Aussie bits and pieces here. Now, as I said, the smart thing to do would be to start sort of overlaying some of these instruments. Now, you can overlay, for instance, the CRB, right? So if I go down here, I think it's backslash CRB QX. I'm just losing the internet there. Hopefully it doesn't do too much. Okay, so I've just got that as a line, right? And you can see this thing going up. This is where you can start to sort of add some value and go, oh shit, what's going on with the Aussie? Well, you might want to check out the CRB index because it is all over it. Okay, like one of Mark's cheap suits. The as we used to say in London. The okay, so you can see here. Obviously, you can make that a bar chart as well. All I'm looking for is direction here, right? You can actually get onto this and actually start to draw trend lines on the CRB, right? But you can see exactly what's happening here. It is right on top of that. That's just on the hourlies, right? So you can put this on the dailies as well, or you can come back and find some other instruments and go, well, what else is helping this thing? So then you can sort of start to redirect and work out where the pressure points are, because the fact is, if you can work out, say the CRB, the orange line there starts to fall down, okay, then that could be the trigger for you to go in and sell Aussie CAD, sell Aussie Kiwi, sell Aussie Yen, buy Euro Aussie, buy Sterling Aussie. This is the trigger point for the Aussie collapse, right? Or not even a collapse, even 100 points to the downside, which has got it in easy, right? You're looking at the daily charts, looking for these bigger levels, but there's not really that many around. If anything, I mean, this is where you got to get a little bit, not necessarily creative, but I'd be like, well, what's the high here? This could be a point where traders are trying to put on some risk and have some sort of level, 74.40. Maybe that's some sort of trigger point. To me, I would be always weighing that up. Who else is going to be looking at that? I'd be like, oh, probably about 10% of the market. So maybe it's not worth it, but just start to get these things in so you can take action if you come back to the screens and things are happening, right? So to me, the CRB is a big one that you guys need to be aware of. It is a catalyst for move, and particularly on the commodity currencies. So the Kiwi, you'd expect to go with the Aussie, CAD as well, right? So that's where we are with that. It's sort of a bit of a tricky one. When you're looking at oil rallying, right, well, that should push the commodities up. You're going to have a bit of a battle there with dollar CAD, with the CRB, CAD, the dollar, US data, Canadian data. That's why it's a loonie, right? I know it's a loony coin, but it's a lunatic currency. So there we are with dollar yen, Aussie, right? The CRB. And as I was saying, you're coming back to look at the overall structure of what's going on. You've got to be able to sort of piece this together, right? It's imperative, right? So if I come back here to the Aussie page, let me make sure I'm on the right one. Yep. There. And then you can come back and start to look at the Aussie crosses. Go deep dive into your templates, have a look and see what's Aussie really smashing. Right. And then you can start to really work out, okay, maybe it's just that cross that I need to focus on. Check this out, like 10.8 up 10.8% is Aussie yen, right? That's off the Richter. And one that isn't moving, obviously Aussie CAD, two commodity currencies against each other, same with Aussie Kiwi, right? That tells you why they aren't going anywhere or against each other. The other ones, they're pretty stretched. You've got Aussie Euro and Aussie Swiss. Well, makes sense. Swiss and Euro tied at the hip. Well, actually, you got Aussie Sterling in there as well. So just keep an eye on it. Look for the extremities. They're the pairs that will give you the big gains, will move easily when things change, right? So you can be looking at this, not just on Aussie. You can go back and have a look at all the different templates. depending on which ones you've got. And this is use the power of Metastock, right? You might be sitting there thinking, why have I got this thing? It doesn't do anything for me. Well, go and have a look in here and find out the devil's in the detail, right? So go through, find out what's going on, where the big movements are, then find out the charts that can make odds and ends of, and that's where the answers will come from, right? Now, just to finish up on this, it's supposed to be a daily market insight, but I wanted to give you guys a bit more of a wrap than the normal punter on the street. When I'm talking about sort of the commodities, right, and you got the Aussie, it's up for the year, it's up for the month, all this sort of stuff, and it's kicking the crap out of euro and sterling. You've got to this is all about timing. Now, if I was looking at this structure, I'm looking for a critical point where the Aussie could turn, right? It's either going to be around the commodities, a big turnaround in the commodities. So going from 20% up for the year back to flat would be a big kick in the belly. And then also starting to look around, always keeping one eye abreast of the data that's coming out, right? We are just entering the new month. We've got non-farm payrolls Friday, but we're not really going to get some of the key Aussie data until the following week, right? So don't sort of hold your breath. And we're almost getting close to Easter. So what you would be doing is making sure you keep abreast of what's going on domestically as well as internationally, right? That's the sort of key to this. So same with dollar yen, right? It just looks so amazing, but if you get the timing wrong, you know where it's going to go, but you just get hammered. This thing drops down to 115 again, and you've lost all your money up at 125 trying to pick tops. So don't try and be smart and clever and pick the tops. Look for levels to get in. These things have come so far that you can have bigger stops in smaller positions and still make a cartload of cash, right? So make sure you think of your risk management when you are looking at these opportunities, because sometimes I'm sure some of you will get like a rush of blood, go, oh, here's the answers. That these are the answers, but I can't tell you when they're going to happen. I can tell you if I was in front of the screens, I'd be like, holy cow, this is about to happen. But if I'm not, then you miss it. You miss the start. The idea is we keep an eye on the general levels, because they will tell us when it's going to go, right? You don't need to be in front of the screens when the levels go. And that's the best part about this. So having a look at, commodities in general. Okay. I'm going to go through this part as well. I've been saying this for since last week. They all look like they're turning, right? The copper, it's had a little bit of a bounce back, and iron ore is hanging in there too. That's probably the only thing that's holding the Aussie up at this point, iron ore. So you've got, the oils, light and Brent sort of both going down. Copper has come off, it's sort of stabilized, but these things are turning. To me, this is the signal to start focusing, right? Focus your attention on the detail, and that's where the answers will come from. And even these commodity pages, right? You can put asset performances up against each other, the key commodity index performance, right? Et cetera. Put these things in your charts on the currencies that matter, like I showed you there with the Aussie dollar, right? This is simple stuff. You just got to get off your ass and do it, and have a look around and be systematic with your approach. Because when I see this, I'm thinking opportunity, and I'm not thinking opportunity like, shit, I got to get short now. I'm thinking about it, but I've got to try and work it in with what's going on right now. Geopolitically, we've got the non-farms Friday. That's the real start of the month, is the non-farms on Friday. So to me, I have got to focus here. The yen crosses and the Aussie dollar in particular, taking out dollar CAD because it's got too many things pulling it from pillar to post. And my little buddy, the Kiwi, well, it's just trading mid-range, right? So whereas the Aussie's already broken up through levels and has big levels to come back down through, too many issues here with dollar CAD at the moment. And so the Kiwi, I would expect to follow the Aussie, but steadily just behind it as far as length of moves and things. Whereas the yen crosses, man, these things are primed and ready to go. I mean, I just can't believe, like even this daily chart, right? It's just epic, right? That's just a massively epic situation. It's massively overbought, but just because it's massively overbought doesn't mean it turns around today. It needs a catalyst, right? I tell you what, the BOJ they'll start to get pissed off, messing around with their currency, but not much they can do about it, but that's something else you need to consider. So make sure you have a look around, check out what's going on, because I know when you look at these big data pages, there's almost too much to think about, but that's where you can find the detail. As I said, usually go to things that have moved extremely year to date, month to date. If there's some extreme levels there, check it out. And then that's when you can come back down, work out currency relative strength, see what's going on in the bonds, equities. You've got a whole range of data here at your fingertips. You just need to unleash the beast, right? Especially get into these, as I said, let me just come back to this one here. Get into these relative strength charts, because these ones here can make it easy for you. Like when you're looking at charts, when you shrink things up and move things out, you sort of lose the context of how far they've gone. But having the data in front of you, you won't. All right. Hope that's helpful, guys. It's been a while since I gave you some sort of formal video and things. I've got to go back through your accounts. I've just been letting everyone sort of churn away. These are really tricky markets. And this is why I'm trying to give you this sort of heads up on where the action is, because everyone's sort of getting involved and getting run over. Just wait. Some of the biggest fund managers and some of the biggest prop traders I know who do this professionally, they do 2 or 3 trades a year, right? And I can tell you, they would be sweating on this. Like everything's building up perfectly into the perfect storm where we've got extremities. All we need is a couple of things that fit into place, and there's cash all over the place. Pull your cash out and sit back and watch. All right, guys, any questions, jump online, give me a shout. Good luck. Cheerio.